Hello to all my fellow 40-somethings. I'm Bernd, and I'm delighted to welcome you to the Great 40s, a place where we celebrate the dynamic and rewarding journey of life in our 40s. I remember the exact moment I realized something had changed. At 43, I was sitting in a meeting where everyone nodded along with a business proposal that looked great on paper. Something in my gut said no. In my 30s, I would have ignored that feeling, deferring to the spreadsheets and PowerPoints. Instead, I spoke up. 6 months later, when the project collapsed exactly as that inner voice had warned, I understood. My intuition wasn't just getting stronger, I was finally ready to listen to it. What we call intuition isn't mystical or magical. Neuroscientists have identified it as pattern recognition happening below our conscious awareness. Your brain processes countless data points from past experiences, assembling them into gut feelings and hunches that bypass your logical reasoning. By your 40s, you've accumulated enough life data to make these intuitive leaps more accurate than ever before. The neural pathways dedicated to intuitive thinking have been strengthened through decades of use. Research shows that middle-aged brains actually utilize more regions simultaneously when making decisions than younger brains do, integrating emotional, rational, and instinctual inputs more effectively. This isn't just feel-good pseudoscience. Studies of high-performing executives consistently show that by mid-career, the best decision-makers have learned to balance analytical thinking with intuitive judgment. They know when to trust the spreadsheet and when to trust the gut. Your 40s bring complexity that your 20s and 30s simply couldn't prepare you for. Career crossroads that can't be solved with a simple pros and cons list. Family dynamics that defy logical analysis. Health choices where statistics tell only part of the story. Fortunately, your intuitive capabilities peak just when life's questions become more nuanced. Your emotional intelligence reaches new heights in your 40s. You've seen enough human behavior to recognize patterns instantly. That colleague's enthusiasm that feels slightly off, you can sense it because you've encountered similar situations before. Your BS detector is finely calibrated after decades of use. You've been burned enough times to recognize when something doesn't add up, even if you can't immediately articulate why. Your self-knowledge is more developed. You've lived with yourself long enough to distinguish between fear-based reactions and genuine intuitive warnings. Your life experience provides context. When facing a new challenge, your intuition draws on a vast library of past situations, helping you navigate unfamiliar territory with surprising confidence. Perhaps the greatest gift of your 40s is the growing confidence to trust yourself. The constant second-guessing that plagued your earlier decades begins to recede. You recognize external validation for what it is, helpful at times, but no substitute for your own inner knowing. This self-trust creates a particular kind of freedom. The freedom to say no without lengthy justifications, the freedom to change direction without gathering a committee's approval, the freedom to make choices that others might question, knowing they don't have access to your internal data. A friend recently described turning 45 as finally feeling like I'm driving my own life. That's intuition mastery in action, recognizing that while advice and input have their place, the most reliable guidance system has been installed within you all along. If your intuitive abilities are naturally strengthening in your 40s, why do so many people still struggle to access this inner wisdom? The answer often lies in years of learned intuition suppression. Our educational systems and workplaces primarily reward analytical thinking. We're taught to show our work, cite our sources, and justify our conclusions with external evidence. While these skills matter, they've trained many of us to distrust or ignore our intuitive signals. Reclaiming your intuitive capabilities requires intentional practice. Create quiet space. Intuition speaks in whispers, not shouts. Regular periods of silence, whether through meditation, walking alone, or simply turning off all devices, allow those whispers to be heard. Pay attention to physical signals. Your body often registers intuitive knowledge before your conscious mind does. The tightness in your chest during a job interview, the unexpected energy surge when discussing a potential project, these physical responses contain valuable data. Document your hunches. Keep track of your intuitive hits by writing them down when they occur. Reviewing these notes over time helps you distinguish between fear-based reactions and genuine intuition. Practice small intuitive decisions. Build your intuition muscle by making low-stakes choices based on gut feeling rather than analysis. Which route to take home? Which book to read next? These small decisions strengthen your intuitive pathways. Notice resistance. When you feel unusually strong resistance to something that looks good on paper, pause. Your intuition may be detecting problems your conscious mind hasn't yet recognized. Intuition mastery isn't about blindly following every gut feeling. It's about knowing when your intuition is reliable and when it might be compromised. Your intuitive signals are less trustworthy when you're physically depleted. Exhaustion, hunger, and illness can all mimic intuitive warnings. You're emotionally triggered. When old wounds are activated, what feels like intuition may actually be an outdated protection mechanism. You lack experience in the domain. Intuition works best in areas where you've built up substantial experience and knowledge. Part of developing intuition mastery in your 40s is learning to distinguish between these false signals and genuine intuitive wisdom. Understanding and recognizing your intuition is only half the equation. The harder part is finding the courage to act on it, especially when your inner knowing conflicts with conventional wisdom or others' expectations. At 47, a friend of mine walked away from a prestigious partnership track position because something felt fundamentally wrong despite the status and security it offered. Everyone thought I have a midlife crisis, he told me, but I know with absolute certainty it is the right move. 3 years later, his new venture has brought not just financial success, but a level of fulfillment his former path never could have provided. This kind of intuitive courage doesn't develop overnight. It grows through a series of small acts of self-trust that gradually build confidence in your inner guidance system. The goal isn't to abandon rational thinking in favor of intuition. The real power comes from integrating both faculties, knowing when to analyze and when to trust your gut. This integration represents a more evolved decision-making approach than either analytical overthinking or impulsive reaction. In your 40s, you're ideally positioned to achieve this balance. You've developed strong analytical skills through education and career experience. You've accumulated enough life data to fuel sophisticated intuitive judgments, and you've likely experienced both the pitfalls of ignoring your intuition and the rewards of heeding it. As you develop mastery of your intuition in your 40s, the benefits extend beyond better decision-making. Relationships deepen as you tune into unspoken dynamics and needs. Creative blocks dissolve as you access the more intuitive dimensions of your thinking. And perhaps most importantly, a new kind of confidence emerges. Not the brash certainty of youth, but a quiet knowing that you can trust yourself to navigate whatever comes. This intuitive self-trust creates a foundation for what many describe as the most satisfying decades of life. While your 20s and 30s may have been marked by striving and proving, your 40s and beyond can be characterized by a more authentic alignment with your inner truth. Your fourth decade offers a unique opportunity to claim the wisdom that has been building within you all along. The noise of external expectations has never been louder than in today's hyper-connected world, but your inner knowing has also never been stronger. The choice to listen and the courage to act on what you hear might be the most important skill you develop in this pivotal decade of life. Thanks for joining me on today's episode. I hope you found it valuable and entertaining. Don't forget to visit my website at great40s.com, where you can find matching articles to all episodes. If you're enjoying the podcast and want to support what I do, you will also find there very affordable subscription options that help keep this show going. Your support means everything to me. Take care and see you at the next episode of The Great 40s.